stream. All right, what is up, friends? It is that time again. I have finished watching Ahsoka. I have watched it a couple times. Let me just real quick double check. We got audio. I have watched it. Yep, we got good audio. Fabulous, fantastic. We got my little dog here, Allie. She might hop up on my head here pretty soon. We will see. Usually she's asleep during these on my lap, just off of frame, but she is awake right now, so that's exciting. But we are not here to talk about little Allie. We are here to talk about Ahsoka. And holy freaking moly, this episode did not disappoint. I think overall, maybe, I know this is going to be controversial, but I think I liked last week's episode just a hair better. But that's mainly because this episode, it had a lot of different stuff going on. And that one was very, very focused, which I really liked, kind of that focused story. The other thing that I didn't necessarily love about this one is the lack of, we didn't get any Balon, we didn't get any Shin, we didn't get any of Sabine. None of that storyline got moved forward at all. So those were things that I missed, but we got a hell of a lot of amazing stuff in its place. So let's go ahead and start with World Between Worlds, or whatever it was. I've already seen a lot of debate circulating online. Is it actually the World Between Worlds? Is it all in Ahsoka's head? Is it a Force vision? What is it? Is it actually Anakin? Is it the son? Is it the father? We don't know. But regardless, I'm just gonna call it Anakin. Haven't had enough time to really think about all of those theories too much, so we're just gonna call it Anakin. His interaction with Ahsoka was great. I think last week I complained a little that it didn't look quite right, but I felt like most of the time this episode it looked awesome. Like Anakin looked awesome, de-aging or not, or whatever. However much de-aging they did, I thought it looked really great in most scenes. His Clone Wars look, the way his hair changed, all that was awesome. I just thought he looked really, really fantastic. I was not taken out at all. I also thought that the young Ahsoka actress did a really, really good job. It took me a minute to get used to her, but particularly on the second rewatch, I thought she did a great job. I really did. I was like, yeah, no, she was awesome. Really, really very much enjoyed her performance. What you doing, Miss Allie? What you doing? Want to go under the blanket? That's a great idea. All right. She is. Yeah, I got something on my teeth. I don't know. I'm so sorry if there's something weird and my teeth look a little weird color. I don't know if it's just the lighting, white balance. I don't know. Apologies if it looks weird. This is what happens when you go freaking live. Do it live. We'll do it live. Anyway, also my voice is a little scratchy. Not sure if I'm getting a little bit of a cold or something. I feel like last week I was a little bit sick too. I might just be imagining that. Maybe that was a different stream on a different channel. But anyway, apologies for that. But yeah, no, all the Clone Wars stuff was great, particularly on a second viewing. The first viewing, I was just kind of absorbing it all in and was like, whoa, holy freaking moly, what is going on here? Trying to kind of understand the story, understand where it was going. My second viewing through, it was like, okay, I can just enjoy this. What was on presumably Ryloth was interesting. I thought it was interesting just how much smoke and dust and all that they stirred up. I'm not sure if that was kind of a budget saving thing, or if that was going to be the initial look and feel that they were actually going for, if it was kind of meant to be a dream sequence. I don't know, but it was kind of an interesting cool look. It definitely was reminiscent of Geonosis, which they probably were also trying to harken back to, but it made things, very, very claustrophobic, very interesting. It was really cool to see. Like, I would be really excited for live action Clone Wars, like more live action Clone Wars directed by Dave Filoni. Like, I would be all about that if we could see some of like the really cool moments from Clone Wars TV show or stories that weren't yet developed. Like, I would love to see more of that because that was just wicked cool. Oh man, I would lose my freaking mind if we could see like the full Siege of Mandalore, because those teases we got in the show, like of the Siege of Mandalore, the little vignette was absolutely freaking phenomenal. Loved what I saw there. Like the Maul troopers looked absolutely phenomenal. Ahsoka's fighting style was so good. Like, I was so impressed. Kind of, you could see that progression, like from the first little vignette of Ryloth or whatever it was. Ahsoka wasn't doing a whole lot, and then you like, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. You cut into the Siege of Mandalore, and she is just like going to town on these dudes. Like, I think still got it Disney Plus pulled up here. Oh yes, I do. Gonna turn off the volume, no copyright. I just gotta like skim back to it real quick and just see. Yeah, no, sure. Like, her fighting style is freaking good. Like, it looks awesome. The makeup looks awesome. The setting looks awesome. The effects look awesome. They're definitely kind of using a lot of the smoke to kind of, I think, probably obscure a lot. I think part of it is an artistic choice, and part of it probably is to cover up that they can't, have thousands of clones and Mandalorians and all that kind of stuff, and just to like bring focus back down on to what's actually going on here. But really cool aesthetic, really cool little flashbacks. I mean, for me, like, that's really all I've talked about so far in this, but that was for sure like the highlight of the episode, was everything with Ahsoka and Anakin in the world between worlds, or her mind, or whatever it was. Just like absolutely freaking phenomenal. I loved it so much. Like, legit, just I freaking loved it. Loved all of it. The rest of the episode, let's go ahead and touch on that. Kind of Hera's story, kind of searching for Ahsoka, didn't grab me as much, I'll be honest. I didn't really rewatch that. I've rewatched the Clone Wars bits like 3 times now, as well as like that one time I was just like watching that scene real quick here without sound. But yeah, like, it just didn't grab me quite as much. It was kind of like, okay, we got to do this to like fill some time. Got to kind of do this to set up probably where Hera's story is going. Set up Jason as definitely being more force sensitive. Kind of move that story along a little bit. But I didn't feel like it necessarily like gripped me the same way that like the World Between Worlds stuff did. I would have liked maybe some of that time to just like check in with Sabine, Balon, and Shin a little bit. I think that could have been an interesting way to break up the episode a little bit more, because we didn't necessarily need as much of our dudes, as much of, kind of what was going on with Hera. I didn't feel like, again, that added a whole ton. Maybe on rewatch I'll go, oh, I see what they did with episode 6. I am so sorry, guys. It's clearly getting to be bedtime for me. But yeah, no, it was totally fine. I also think there's probably a part of me that just wanted to get back to Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds, because that was so freaking awesome. It didn't catch me off guard that it was at about the 25-minute mark that they rescued Ahsoka. and the episode was like 45 minutes without credits. So there was like a whole nother 20 minutes, which was interesting because to me, I almost felt like this might have, except that then the episode after wouldn't necessarily have been like super exciting in some ways. But I almost would have liked to see the first half of the episode be its own episode, maybe, throw in a couple more flashbacks or something like that, give us like a nice meaty 30-minute little episode, have the series be 9 episodes, and then give us some of what we got in the second half, mix it up with some of what's going on with the folks with Balon, Shin, all of them in the next episode. And I think like that would have been very, very interesting because and I might have like felt like paying more attention to that half of things because I was just like so like with the World Between Worlds, Clone Wars flashbacks, duel between Anakin and Ahsoka. Personally, like I enjoyed the choreography. I've seen some people love it, some people not love it. I thought it was pretty good. It's not like at the crazy level of Revenge of the Sith, but at the same time, like it's pretty solid lightsaber choreography. I thought pretty much most of the lightsaber duels in this show have been really, really solid. And so, yeah, I have enjoyed them quite a bit. And I enjoyed this fight no less. Again, just like crazy stuff seeing Anakin and them doing such a good job with Anakin. That really impressed me because I felt like, in the Kenobi show, I'm guessing there just probably wasn't enough time, or maybe the technology wasn't quite there yet, or there wasn't, enough budget, or whatever it was. It didn't look as good as it did in this show. And I'm sorry that I keep going back to this, but like it's the thing. Like that's definitely the part of the show that everybody was like hyped up for, and it definitely delivered. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there was anything super notable kind of in the Hera portion. I think they're definitely building up some stuff with Jason. I'm sure he's eventually going to be trained as a Jedi. That seems pretty logical. He was bugging Hu Yang to get trained, and Hu Yang was saying no. He clearly can use the Force. He could sense what was going on with Ahsoka, was able to help find Ahsoka. We've got the politics going on with the New Republic, with Carson Teva. So that's, it's stuff moving the plot along. We have to have that half of the episode, even though we really, really just like wanted the meaty half. But then if we jump to the second 25 minutes, we get Ahsoka back, Ahsoka awake. It's basically, and let me double check that I'm not missing anything, just scrolling through real quick. Yeah, Ahsoka wakes up. Ahsoka talks to Hera. They kind of figure out a plan. They figure out, the New Republic's coming. They figure out the plan with the Purrgil. And then they jump. And that is basically like the second half of the episode. The stuff with the Purrgil, really, really cool for sure. I thought that the Purrgil look awesome. Like they really do look great. Like the CGI is just like off the charts with this show. I don't think we've ever had a Star Wars TV show look this good. Which is kind of amazing. And, like the Obi-Wan show should have looked this good. Mando does not look bad by any means, but they definitely pulled out some stops here. Dave definitely called in some favors because there really aren't any effects where I'm like, whoa, that pulls me out of it. And most of them just look freaking good. I think most of them, maybe some of you who have seen it on the big screen can tell me how it holds up on the big screen. But to me, I've got a 27-inch iMac 5K monitor, and all the effects look great on it. Everything looks, absolutely fantastic. Not sure if Disney Plus broadcasts in 4K at all, or if it's HD. I feel like I should know that, but regardless, it looks phenomenal. Like I have it pulled up here, all big full screen. Everything looks great. The ships just look absolutely phenomenal. The Purrgil look awesome. Hu Yang looks awesome. Really, the only thing that kind of took me out of it, and this is kind of a silly thing, but I felt like Ahsoka, without her little headband thing, like where they connect the prosthetic to her forehead, looked kind of weird. Um, Felt like she just looks like super old, like a grandma or something. Somehow, it's weird. Like I don't know. That one little scene threw me off when she wakes up without the headband. So I was really happy that they put that back on, because then all is right with the world, and I'm not looking at like the scene where they're connecting her headpiece prosthetic to her head, and it looking all white and kind of weird, like white hair. I don't know. It was a weird thing for me. But that's literally the only thing that took me out, because everything else, just the practical effects look great. The CGI looks great. Where they blend the two together, is all of it looks great. I mean, Carson Teva was great. He's always a standout, and he kind of helped the Hera story be a little more interesting, a little more fun. I always enjoy him. Real interesting with the Purrgil. I was surprised Hu Yang did not throw more of a fuss, like flying the ship into its mouth. But maybe he knows to trust Jedi by this point. I don't know. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, everything looked just absolutely great. The performances were really good. Anakin looked awesome. Like, man, I'm just like looking. He looks great. I'm so surprised. Like, I don't know, like, if I watched this having no idea that this wasn't filmed close to Revenge of the Sith, like within 3 or 5 years of it, I don't know if I'd notice it, honestly. Like, because I know what current Hayden looks like. Of course, I'm aware of it in the back of my mind, but it didn't hit Uncanny Valley for me at all. And like when I was really invested in like what was going on screen, I forgot about it. It just kind of felt same way as you accept that Rosario Dawson is in orange paint with this funky headpiece. You just accept it. It didn't like weird me out. Doesn't weird me out anywhere near like what Mando season 2 Luke did, or certainly what Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One did. Those were both pretty Uncanny Valley for me, pretty weird. But yeah, like just awesome stuff. Let me pop back to the stream. Nice. Nobody watching. 18 minutes in. That's kind of what I've come to expect here. So if you have watched this far in the replay, you freaking rock. But I don't know if I actually have a whole ton more to say about this episode, because yeah, it's basically just like freaking great Star Wars. Dave Filoni did a great job. I'm really excited for the last 3 episodes. Really, the only episode that has been a little bit of a letdown for me was episode 3. And on rewatch of the show, I'll be curious, kind of like in a more binge format, if I feel that way, or, if I'm like, oh no, this is actually still great Star Wars. Like, I love this. I don't know, but episode 5 is like fire for me. Just super awesome. It was great to hear Tamora Morrison. Obviously, we did not see his face as the clones. My guess is he just did a couple of voiceover lines and wasn't actually on set. Because we didn't even see like the faces of the clones that were injured. They were just all wrapped up. I'm not sure if that was kind of symbolic of something, or if that's something that they were kind of implying that the clones did. We never saw something like that in the Clone Wars, as I recall, but it's kind of interesting. But yeah, no, I loved the look of the Clone Wars. I loved the duel between Anakin and Ahsoka. I loved the little flashes of Vader. it all just looked awesome. Um, and like the story is good for me. I know there's always going to be people who complain about the story, but for me, it just looked like I really enjoyed the story. Um, I'm really enjoying where they're going to go with it. I'm really curious. I'm along for the ride. I'm in suspense. I'm not in as much suspense as I was at the end of last week's episode, because what a cliffhanger that was. But definitely curious. Next episode, we've got to get to our new galaxy. We're probably going to see Thrawn. I'm sure we're gonna check back in with Sabine, Shin Hati, and Balon, and that's gonna be awesome because they're very, very interesting characters. Um, I did learn this week, which was actually pretty awesome and unfortunate that I learned it this week and that she wasn't in the episode, but the actress who plays Shin Hati, let me pull up her name because I'm escaping. Her name is escaping me. Let's see, Ivana Sakno or Sakhno, not sure exactly how you say it, but she um, is Ukrainian. Those of you probably who watch this channel have no idea. I'm very involved with what's going on in Ukraine with the Russian invasion. She is an official ambassador for United 24. They help raise money through official channels for Ukraine. Mark Hamill is also an ambassador, so it's kind of a nice, cool little connection there. So for me, that is a really neat, special thing. Kind of a fun little connection there. I know to a lot of people that may not matter, but to me, I think it's really cool. But yeah, so I think that's it for this stream. That's it for my thoughts. Absolutely great episode. I would not say it was necessarily like a 10 out of 10 episode for me, but I think like possibly if it had been like a shorter, tighter episode with like more focus on that world between worlds, some more flashbacks, things like that. Like we could have hit a 10 out of 10 episode because all that stuff was just phenomenal. It just got a little bit drawn out in some of the more mundane story. But that is not to complain about this episode by any means. Like it really was an awesome episode. Just like if I'm thinking about, best of the best episode kind of things, like the absolute pinnacle of Star Wars, I don't think this necessarily quite hit that level, but there were some absolute moments in here that absolutely did hit that peak of Star Wars. But anyway, guys, may the Force be with you, and I will see you next week on the stream.